For those complaining about the Uranium event, devs already came out and said the event is probably not coming back, which we can take at face value, or know that it'll be so rare that nothing you're complaining about will get fixed. So please let folks post memes, builds, or clips without flooding them out with posts that won't fix anything. We all want a fun and balanced game alongside bug fixes, but that's not what Crossout is, unfortunately. Been playing this game since 2017, and I've received one piece of Uranium. Guess that's why I really don't play much anymore when you need to dedicate your entire life just to build a relic. Yup, and it's still the same. Either you know what you're getting into and don't mind, or you don't and leave. It really is that simple. I have a friend who's made a fortune trading stuff in the market. Like, seriously, hundreds of thousands of coins this guy has, but it's his full-time job. He doesn't really have a proper job. Plays till 6 a.m. and sleeps till 4 p.m. Every time I visit this guy, he starts going on about his trades, and it fucking drives me nuts. So much so that I don't bother going to his place much anymore. I regret introducing him to the game. The only good thing I can say is that at least he's never bought a single pack. But man, the work he's put in on the trading screen and crafting is kinda sad and makes me not want to play the game when I see what you need to do to get to the level where you're able to get a relic. Yeesh, I like this game, but not so much my life revolves around it. You should have at least 2 from April's Fool gift. Get in a clan and run in Leviathans. We have people that use Incinerator or Narwhal Akari and do very well. I don't play enough to bother anymore. Every couple of years or so, I'll start playing again for a month or so, and then get sick of it and stop. The grind is what kills this game for me, and it takes a long time for me to come back to it, because I don't envy the grind. Clan stuff is like grinding with extra steps and feels super grindy to me. It's hilarious, actually. A friend of mine who's really into the game, I introduced him to it, was so excited to join this big clan. He was going on and on about it, and I told him he was going to regret joining a clan, and he asked why? I said clans turn a fun game hobby into a job. It took a year, but he's since quit the clan, and I was right. You gotta do your dailies and weeklies, etc. It's a grind, and I'm not interested. I haven't played Crossout in months now. Really depends on the clan. Luckily, the one I'm in we just play and try to max out ore, but I understand I am expected to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I really don't see the problem with the new event. I kind of enjoyed that I had to switch up a few builds for either one. Granted, I'm in a clan that I can usually get 10 to 60 ore a week even without getting placement, so the ore part isn't that big of a deal for me. It's just confrontation with different parameters, and as a person who enjoys confrontation, either solo or with a group, I'm cool with it. The problem is, as with so many free-to-play games, is that they create rare resources and then run ridiculous events to earn said resources that the majority of players either don't have the time or skill to complete. Same old story. You either have to be a sweaty no-lifer or open your wallet to obtain things. I'm not so bothered about things like vehicle packs, as they are basically an end product in XO, but when you're restricting things needed to craft parts, that just strikes me as especially crappy. In fact, I'd say it's worse in a game like XO where you need to be a good builder in order to be competitive in PvP, as well as skillful. Nothing wrong with enjoying it. That's good. I don't care if there are meta whores in the game. Find me a PvP game without a meta, and I'll show you a dead game. I like using builds that aren't exactly meta and doing well with them, or using old builds back from the beta testing days to see if some still work. They don't. But it's fun to change it up. I play from $24.99 all the way up to $16K. I've got plenty of fused relics and legendaries. I also don't mind helping newbies on Xbox. I never save a build longer than a week or two, 'cause I'm always trying something new. I couldn't imagine having so many options than just using one build and one weapon type and getting mad that balance changes shifted the meta, or made them worse to play with or better to play with, so everyone is using them now. People also seem to forget this is a Russian game with them being the main payer base, so if it dies in the West, they still have all of Russia. Devs know they don't need us, but we also don't need this game or to hang around if it's been so bad for so long. No need to hang around like some jilted lover with Stockholm Syndrome. No one is forcing you to play a game you are mad at except you. It's a harsh truth for sure. It's one thing to hate on Gaijin, but another to actually go so far as to try to affect Gaijin bottom line because you claim that money makes one invincible is nothing short of madness. If Gaijin learns to realize these whalers are insignificant to them, they would have been held accountable for their actions a long damn time ago. Who knows? It probably could have brought more people in, and they'd be making more money. One thing I've learned over the years is that the death of a game, civilization, etc., is never a simple thing. But one thing we can all agree on is both the rampant toxicity being present and the devs and staff refusing to do anything about it will be contributing factors to its downfall. People also tend to forget that Gaijin is a company. It will need money to operate correctly. I've seen even worse monetization practices on Minecraft server and mobile games, for God's sake. They may be bad, but I can tell you Gaijin is definitely not the worst that exists out there. Glares at EA as an example. And honestly, I'm not sure what's worse. The fact toxic people are exploiting the game or the community's refusal to stick up for itself because they believed in the threats, and finally do the right thing for the community. So? I've not even bothered playing it because I knew it would be a shit show the second it was announced, and lo and behold, I can see the future. The only thing worse than people complaining about things that actually aren't issues are people white-knighting the game as if it's perfect, and trying to silence those who actually have valid criticisms. So Yazzie, in fact, you are not wrong. You can and should complain. But the fact that comes first is that the game is not perfect, and never will be. And it seems that the players can't stand this fact. They come on Reddit as if the end of the world, saying goodbye, that they can't take it anymore, etc. Never silence Lord the community's agreeing with me. The end times are really upon us. Just a peasant, I don't have as much energy as the Lexi boy. Anyone with a brain knew what was going to happen. The simps that threw that a more restrictive version of clan wars were just being idiots. Kolmogorov complexity theorem. The theorem is related to the complexity of describing a set. As more elements are added to a set, the complexity of its description generally increases, which can be interpreted as a measure of disorder or difficulty in maintaining balance. In other words, welcome to the Kolmogorov complexity theorem. With each release of items, it becomes more impossible to balance the system. That's why I know it's not even worth crying. In every competitive game, more complex than Pong, you start to have a tendency to reach the highest number of victories while maintaining diversity. Yeah, no. The devs could balance properly. They choose not to, however, and the nerfs to the counters, to dogs, bricks, like the recent incinerator nerf, clearly show that. And in 2 days, Reddit would be complaining about something else, defusers or something. I don't play with these meta builds, but I have no problem containing them most of the time. That being said, you'll rarely see me playing outside of a group of friends who are ready to support each other. And yes, with each new item, an option appears, and it becomes more difficult to balance a system, in this case, the game. You could come up with numbers, put them to a vote, deploy them, and you'll find that another medium will stand out. So off we go to Reddit again. Only because more balance issues will emerge doesn't mean existing problems can just be ignored. So the problems should not be ignored anyway. What I tried to show by describing the theory is that, like the mythological Hydra, you cut one problem, you will have another, because the system has options, and one will always stand out. You cut off the dog's head, another meta will stick out, and again, it will have to be cut off. And another grows, like this indefinitely for complex systems. XO proves to be one. Based on the dislikes, I think I didn't express myself well, or they didn't understand the theory. If there are little to no major issues, as in the meta chasers are under control because the meta isn't toxic, the game is balanced, there's no massive overriding issues. etc., etc., you wouldn't see much complaining. Whenever the game balance is not a burning dumpster fire, the subreddit and player base have not complained much. The issue is that it more often than not was such a dumpster fire. Or rather, it was until the devs stopped balancing and started catering to the dogs' bricks endlessly and drove away the casual side of the player base. Yeah, I enjoy the game, but I know it comes with its fair share of bullshit. I just don't need to let everyone know about it. I'd rather turn it off when I get frustrated or go get laid or smoke a bowl and cook or just play a different game. Complaint posts reminds me of the one time I was sitting waiting at the bank and some guy next to me was complaining about politics and big banks. Man, I'm just here to pay and set up a new account. I don't need to hear you complain about something you're still using and won't change. Just because we are both sitting here or we are all playing the game doesn't mean I want to hear you shout about what has been broken for so long and still doesn't get fixed. Fuck off quietly. Simple. True. Except what you're saying is, stop criticizing the game, it's not necessary when it absolutely is. The devs got away with so much because the player base accepted less than they could have gotten. The game has never been balanced. It released with real-world market and the ability to buy packs. The game released broken, and has been so since day one. It hasn't changed for the better in almost 10 years. I'm saying criticism is valid. I'm also saying, I don't want to hear about it when I'm looking on the subreddit. I want to see crazy clips, help the few newbies we get with questions, and I want to see people's builds. The game is a busted mess. These posts aren't saying anything new, and each parrot each other, using the same words and not changing anything. For 29 or so months it was. It was great when that happened. That was when the devs had effectively enough dealt with the major issues. Then the devs started applying the FOMO tactics, catering to the meta, nerfing based on popularity, not balanced needs, etc., etc. You're not going to see crazy clips, newbie help, or build screenshots when dogs, bricks, or whatever else are dominating everything. The players in PvP used to be better on average because they didn't rely on crutches, brain-dead builds, or being in a group. The good players have largely stopped playing, and the above-average or better players barely play PvP anymore. That's a direct result of what you're saying we should do. Then, let the game die. If it's so bad, then just leave. And let it die. And if you like the game and still play it again, you said it yourself. It was good for 9-ish months. That's still nothing compared to how long it's been busted, so the player base dies, and the game goes away, so be it. I've helped noobs and seen builds, but anytime there is a new BP, the subreddit get flooded with complaints. There are other games out there. Don't have to keep banging your head against the wall with this one. Also, no need to be the person on the street screaming about how nothing is fixed, and the end is near as far as the game dying. Criticism. I hate the game. I hate what it's become, and that can change. I want it to change for the better. I'm not going to stick my head in the sand as everything goes to hell around me. And I do play other games. I don't only play Crossout. That's fine, but what I'm saying is, it hasn't changed in almost a decade. So safe to say it's either going to stay the same or get worse. Because of people like you who are trying to ignore the fire around you instead of pushing back against it. If you're in a shit marriage for almost 10 years, do you keep putting in the effort or just leave while you have some time to do or meet someone else? I'm not ignoring it, I know what it is and what's going on. But you've been making complaint posts for however long. What did that change in almost 10 years? EU, US, and South American servers are a drop in the hat for population compared to their main player base, which is Russian. I don't know if you've seen what's going on, but they have had the same leader for almost 30 years. There have been people wanting change and shouting about it, and in almost 30 years nothing has changed and only gotten worse. Same thing with this game and company, you get what you get and yelling at all of us about how you don't like what the devs are doing. Changes, fuck all. If you're in a shit marriage, you usually try to fix the issues. The devs failed to mix many issues until they finally did fix most of them. Then, for whatever reason, they stopped bothering to, and in fact started creating more issues in recent years. The devs may be inept, but they were trying at least for the longest time, unlike the recent years of intentional poor balance. The game has never been balanced. It's impossible for a game to be fully balanced, but it was far better than it is now. And really, it's a grand total of 3 items that's overperforming: Draco, Omamori, and Finwale. The other issue is the anti-wedge mechanic fix didn't do its job. Builds still lose all mobility with a mere touch to the side. Melee itself would be fine if it wasn't for this.